Tagal. Blessed day, everyone. Welcome to our 23rd week in quarantine. And again, welcome to our live stream as we come together and worship God. We are in a series of appreciating preachers, but the preaching so far is not intended for preachers alone, but for all of us to learn. Again, thank you for being with us. Thank you for being part of this ministry. And thank you for being part of this worship service. Our reading is based from Hebrews chapter 13, verses 17, and we will go back to verse 7 later. And the reading says, "Obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They keep watch over you as men who must give an account. Obey them so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no advantage to you." I was intrigued by the message version or translation of verse 17 that reads, "Be responsive to your pastoral leaders. Listen to their counsel. They are alert to the condition of your lives and work under the strict supervision of God. Contribute to the joy of their leadership, not its drudgery. Why would you want to make things harder for them?" Interesting. May the Lord bless the reading from both versions, NIV and the Message. These past few days, I've been receiving shares and been tagged in Facebook. The things that is being shared is this: 1,784 pastors quit per month. And if your pastor is still pushing under the pressure, honor them, pray for them. Reshared. That's been there for almost 2 years now. The truth is, I remember this one. I used this for San Manuel Tarlac when I presented, or when we appreciated some preachers in San Manuel Tarlac. It says, pray for your pastors. 97% of pastors have been betrayed, falsely accused, or hurt by their friends. 70% of pastors battle depression. 7,000 churches close each year. Pastors quit each month. 1,500 pastors quit each month. 10,000 will retire a pastor, or 10% will retire a pastor. 80% of pastors feel discouraged. 94% of pastors' families feel the pressure of ministry. 78% of pastors have no close friends. And 90% of pastors report working 55 to 75 hours per week. That was before the quarantine. These are figures 2 years ago. Interesting enough, but when I look at my lessons the past years, and I've seen my posts or my PowerPoint during the first Preacher's Appreciation Dinner, and this is what it is. Since 2010, August is Preacher's Month. It all started with my class in the preaching school. And I encourage every one of my students to appreciate their preacher, to give time to talk, to give time to encourage others to become preachers like us. And what we have agreed upon is we will talk about their lives, their work, their example, their troubles and struggles, their influence, hoping to encourage others to be like them. That was way back in 2012. 2012, wherein we have our first Preachers Appreciation Dinner hosted by Cariaga Church of Christ, and it was attended by the preachers all over Metro Manila and neighboring provinces. It was a fun-filled night. And we did that the following year, 3 years in a row to be exact. And still, until now, even with the quarantine, we are still doing Preachers Appreciation Month. Sad to say, much that we would like to host another dinner, hindi po kakayanin kasi mayroong social distancing, mayroong quarantine that is in existence or still being implemented. I will get back to that image. Preacher's self-image or preacher's self-evaluation of his worth, of his life, his work, his example, troubles and struggles, and his influence. But at the same time, we will be looking at that as we appreciate preachers, how others view them. Okay? Let's go back to our texts. Let me bring to you the text from NIV, wherein it says, "Obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They keep watch over you as men who must give an account. They obey them so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that will be of no advantage to you." There are few troubling words in this verse. I think I could say that 5 or 7 troubling words. Let's start. But kung nasabing troubling words because of obey. A lot of Christians don't obey. Submit, that's another troubling word. No one wants to submit to authorities. No one, even between husband and wife, submission is an issue. Again, authority, you mean they have authority over us? The other one is account or being accountable. And joy. What joy? Is there such thing as joy in the ministry? All we heard as preachers is that suffering or long suffering or patience. Oh, there it is. Burden. The burden of ministry. No wonder. Kaya wala nga tayo makuhang mga susunod na mga preachers dahil ang nakita nilang buhay sa atin. And I must admit that even my son don't want to be a preacher because nakita niya walang pera or walang pera ang mga preachers at walang pera sa ministry kundi lahat ay sakripisyo at paghihirap. That's what they've seen. But here we are, and here still I am here encouraging preachers, appreciating preachers. So let's start. Let me get back to the message. Again, let me use the message in verse 7 of Hebrews chapter 13. Going back, a little background about Hebrews is that the writer or the author was writing to the Jews in dispersion, meaning the Jews who were scattered all over the world. And as he writes to them, he made mention about the cloud of witnesses. He made mention about the heroes of faith in chapter 11. Basing from chapter 11, when he made mention about those, the cloud of witnesses that is still looking at us, encouraging us to move on, to continue on, to keep on keeping on, helping us one way or the other by their influence, by their experiences, or by their faith that they have left behind. So when we get to chapter 12, the encouragement continues. And even in chapter 13, that is why when you read verse 7, I will be using the message. And it is interesting how the message puts it. The message placed it there. Exactly what I wanted. Or probably being biased. Bias po ng kaunti kasi nakikita ko, appreciate your pastoral leaders. Appreciate. Ando dun yung word na hinahanap ko. In this Preacher's Appreciation Month, ando dun po isang version ng gumamit ng salitang appreciate. Appreciate your pastoral leaders who gave you the Word of God. Take a good look at the way they live and let their faithfulness instruct you as well as their truthfulness. There should be a consistency that runs through us all. Napakagandang rendering. I really love the rendering. Though most versions render to remember your leaders, hindi appreciate your pastoral leaders. Most versions, when you take the e-sword and compare, just click verse 7. Compare, every one of them will be putting remember your leaders. So remember is, for me, it's just a mental exercise, right? Kung alalahanin mo lang mga leaders, pwede mo silang alalahanin, maalala ko, sino nga pa nagturo sa akin? Si ganito. Sino? Just a mental exercise. When we think about them, we don't even think highly of them. Hindi pa yun ang punto nung remember your leaders lang. Magkakaroon ka lang ng flashbacks. Oh, I remember Brad so-and-so. Oh, I remember this. I remember that preacher. I remember him. Pagka memories lang, you'll be flooded with memories. Either you feel good with memories or you feel bad about those memories. But to appreciate them, as the message would put it, puts us in another story or in another level. You cannot appreciate somebody without doing something for the one that deserves appreciation. That's why I like the version. Siguro, hindi tayo sanay na mabasa ang mga bagay-bagay na ito. But to appreciate them is there. To appreciate is, look at this, even from the text itself. He wanted to appreciate their pastoral leaders, or you appreciate your pastoral leaders by, look at this, take a good look at the way they live. It involves you. It involves looking at your preacher. To appreciate your preacher is to truly, fully, wholeheartedly look at your preacher. Kung talagang gusto mong i-appreciate ang preacher mo, hindi po mahirap i-appreciate ang mga preacher sa totoo lang. Kung makita mo ang iyong preacher sa kanyang tunay na kalagayan, hindi lang yung preacher mo na nakikita mo tuwing linggo, hindi lang yung preacher mo na nagbibigay ng mensahe tuwing linggo, ang nakikita mo ay isang preacher na nagsasalita in the presence of God, being God's spokesperson. Kung hindi mo nakikita ang preacher mo sa likod ng taong yan on a given ordinary day, then hindi mo siya talaga ma-appreciate. And look at this. To appreciate your preacher, he even said, look at the way they live and let their faithfulness instruct you. Hindi yung words, not the words that will instruct you. Hindi yung mga salitang gagamitin niya, hindi yung mga mensaheng gagamitin niya, kasi aminin man natin hindi, maraming mga preachers ang canned goods lang or nabasa lang sa ganito, nakuha lang kay ganito, nabaro lang yung idea. There are, you can name them by hand siguro, mapapangalanan mo ang mga preachers na talagang nag-aaral at sarili niya yung kanyang ilalabas mula sa kanyang pag-aaral. But look at this, even with that, let their faithfulness instruct you. Yung kanilang katapatan at hindi lang yun, not only faithfulness as well as their truthfulness. Yung pagiging tapat, yung pagiging pananatili sa katotohanan. Oh, these are heavy stuff. Hindi yung words na lumalabas, hindi yung mensahe na lumalabas, kundi yung patutuo, kundi yung katapatan. Sila lang yata ang pwede doon sa in sickness or in health, for richer or for poorer. Ang mga preachers lang yata ang nananatili sa ganon. Yet, the message gave us this. Look at this. There should be a consistency that runs through us all. Mabigat po yan. That's why I took the message, the version or translation, because While other versions put it this way, imitate their lives. What to imitate then? The Message puts it, there should be a consistency that runs through us all, meaning there should be no double standards. The same measure that you measure your preacher, the same measure should apply also to you. Magkaminsan kasi iniisip natin, preacher siya, pastor siya, kaya iba dapat ang buhay niya, okay lang sa akin na maging ganito, pero hindi dapat sa preacher ko. Wrong. Wrong. Unfair naman. Okay lang sa inyo ang wala, ang preacher hindi. I like the version. There should be a consistency that runs through us all. Applied, kung mag-a-apply ang isang bagay na ito sa isang preacher, it should apply also doon sa mga kapatid. Kasi pare-pareho naman tayong Kristiyano. At ang laging sasabihin, kaya ayaw mag-submit sa authority, pare-pareho lang tayo. Pero pagdating doon sa standard of level ng standard ng pamumuhay or pananampalataya, magkaisa na ng level. Kasi preacher ka, ordinaryong miyembro lang ako. Saklap naman nun. Yet the text says, yung imitate their lives, ang ginamit ng message is, there should be a consistency that runs through us all. Pare-pareho dapat. Paano ka ba natuto? Kung natuto ka sa preacher na yan, isabuhay mo ang turo niya, pareho din dapat kayo. Kung inaasahan mo ang preacher na yan, nananalangin ng ganito kadami, nag-aaral ng ganito kadami sa isang linggo, or ganito manalangin, or ganito magbigay, or ganito ang pakikitungo niya, the same should apply to all of us. Walang pagkakaiba yung preacher sa ordinary member. Walang pagkakaiba. Bakit? Ang tanong namin lagi is, at ang tanong namin sa aming mga sarili is, Lord, bakit ako lang? Kasi preacher ka. Tanong ng mga anak ko, kapag magkaminsan sinasabi kong to stand for their rights, they often tell me, bakit ikaw? And I keep on saying to them, and I'm so sorry, preacher ako. Putting a different measure and standard upon myself, which is wrong kung tutuusin. But preachers were taught that way. Preachers were brainwashed that way. Masakit man sabihin, pero yan po kinigisnan natin. And this culture must stop. Wala dapat double standards. Kung anong measure mo, expectation mo sa preacher mo, ipakita mo, kaya mong gawin. Because you are to imitate their lives. There should be a consistency that runs through us all. Kung yan ang expectation mo sa preacher mo, that should be seen also in your life. Para patas. Right? Let me go back to 17. And I'll be using NIV for this. Oh, nakakatuwa din yung ginamit ng the message dito. But, to be acceptable by others. Kasi ayaw nila ng ibang mga versions and translations. I could have used King James Version, but let me just stick to this. Obey your leaders and submit to the authorities. The problem is this. There had been a total disrespect for authority. Hindi ko maintindihan bakit at saan nanggaling. But there is a total disrespect for authority. That is why it is hard to obey and hard to submit. Ayaw sumunod at ayaw pasakop. Kasi ang feeling, pareho lang tayo. We're the same. Ang feeling, hindi ka nakatataas sa akin. Si Kristo ang mataas. Kaya walang galang, walang paggalang whatsoever sa mga preachers magkaminsan. Kaya they could criticize their preachers. They could even talk back at their preachers. As I look at it, it is our patron system that runs. Ayaw mang aminin ng karamihan ito, but there is a patron system in the church. There is politics going on in the church. Ayaw man aminin ng iba, no? Ano yung sinabi kanina? Kailangan faithfulness and truthfulness. Sabihin natin, as plain as it is. Maraming mga members, maraming mga preachers na naghahandle or may patron system. Mayroong ninong sa taas o mayroong kinikilala, tinitingala sa taas. Na anumang sabihin niya, yun din ang magiging ipaparot niya lang sa bandang baba. And when you question them, ang unang-unang sasabihin ay, we have church autonomy. Church autonomy? Ba't ka makikialam sa gawain at sa mga bagay-bagay na nangyayari sa mga kongregasyon? And then what they do sometimes is they even post it in Facebook. Are we going to support that church that the leaders left? Come on, who gave you that authority? There should be a consistency that runs. Consistent dapat tayo. If there is really church autonomy among us, if there is really this authority among us, then observe that. We will observe that. Ang nangyayari nga lang ay yung mga more mature leaders and more mature preachers among us, kapag may nagparating na ng sumbong, nagsalita din kaagad-agad. Wala man lang makapagsabing, kausap mo na ba preacher mo? Or baka naman na-misunderstand mo lang. Or baka naman iba lang yung pananaw mo. Or at times, they even take pictures of you tapos lalagyan ng ibang caption sa baba. Kulang na lang gawing memes ang mga preachers nila. Obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They will never submit because they have their patrons. Mayroon silang consultant siguro, hindi consultant. Look at this. Why do we submit and why do we obey them? And why do they exercise authority over us? Because, they keep watch over you as men who must give an account. They're accountable. They feel being accountable before God. Pananagutan nila kayo sa Diyos. Ang nakakatuwa nga, ang may pananagutan sa iyo ay kagaya lang ng isang kawan. Sa isang kawan may pastol. Ang pastol, pananagutan niya sa may-ari, yung kanyang nasa loob ng kanyang kawan. Ang nangyayari, magkaminsan, kaya it is disheartening for preachers is that may nangingialam sa kawan mo na hindi mo naman kawan. O di kaya sa kawan, yung mga, kung ito ay totoong mga karnero, pero wala akong nakitang karnero na sumusuwag ng kanyang pastol. Kambing ang nanunuwag ng pastol eh. Consider the preacher's word. To really appreciate your preacher, again, is that consider the lives that they live. The lives that preachers live is that they keep watch over you. They are the shepherd of your soul. Kaya nga napakasakit ngang tutuusin ng isang pastol, ang isang preacher, na binabantayan niya ang kanyang kawan, ay sisirain lang ng isang watchdog na hindi naman nasa loob ng kawan kundi tagalabas magsasalita patungkol sa iyong kawan. That's just unacceptable. Or magkaminsan yung kawan mo, yung mga tupa mo sa kawan, ask for an outsider. Ask for those who are outside of the flock. And then, edi siya na lang sana ang shepherd mo, siya na lang sana ang pastor mo, siya na lang sana ang preacher mo. Huwag ka na dyan sa kawan na yan. Yung hindi lang pala paniniwalaan mo, be with them. Jumping horse kung saan-saan congregation pumupunta yan, dito ka din sa kanila. Huwag ka na dito sa kawan na ito. Sila din lang naman sinusunod mo. This is what is going on. Kaya mga preachers natin, umihina, nanghihina, nawawalan ng lakas ng loob because of these experiences. And look at this. The writer knows what he is talking. The writer knows the work of a preacher or a pastor, and the writer knows the joy and the burden of ministry. When he said, obey them so that. When you obey them, again, ulitin natin na, whenever words are repeated, that is for emphasis. He started it with obey your leaders. And then again, he says, obey them so that their work will be a joy, not a burden. When you obey, then when you submit to the authority, then preachers can work better. And preachers will be delighted to do and can suffer even the hardest of all circumstances. Sa lahat-lahat ng mga bagay-bagay na ito, hindi kikibo ang preacher at masaya pa rin yan kahit na may nararamdaman, may dinaramdam, masaya pa rin maglilingkod ang mga preacher na kapag ka nakita niya ng kanyang paglilingkod ay na-appreciate, kapag ka nakikita niya ng kanyang mga ginagawa ay na-appreciate, kapag ka nakikita niya ng kanyang mga kapatid ay todo suporta sa kanya. And it says, obey them so that their work will be a joy at hindi magiging pabigat. Ask any preacher. At sasabihin niyang, totoo po yan. And then, the next one, that would be of no advantage to you. Kung gagawin mong pabigat, ano mangyayari? Kawawa naman si preacher, ang dami na nga niyang iniisip. Then, kukuha ka pa ng outside, tapos ilalagay mo doon. Oo nga naman. It will be a burden. Then, hindi nga maging advantageous because mangyayari is hindi nagiging joy at nagiging magandang ginagawa ng preacher, nagiging burden tuloy ang kanyang ministry. It is really disheartening for a preacher to be criticized for his works. At ang mga criticisms na yan, galing sa kanyang kawan na ifinid ng kanyang mga consultant preachers. Ang ibang mga preachers naman, mga kapatid, mga kapareho sa trabaho, please, huwag namang sulsulan. Sige, bato-bato. No, hindi bato-bato sa langit, diretsahan yan. Huwag namang sulsulan. If you can take an honest inventory, and I want you to do this now. Lagi kong ginagawa ito sa aking mga preaching, and I often do this. When you take an honest inventory and consider this, how you treat your preacher. Ready? Ask yourself, when was the last time? When was the last time, this when, that you appreciated your preacher? When was the last time that you appreciated his message? When was the last time you appreciated his work? When was the last time you appreciated his family? When? When was the last time you accompanied your preaching to any visitation, to any work or lectures or anything? When? When was the last time you showed support for his programs, for his work? When? Instead, you've been criticizing this and that. Been looking for fruits of this and that. You've been looking for baptism for this and that. When? And let me ask you this. Have you ever asked him about his needs? Ulit. Natanong mo na ba ang preacher mo sa tanang buhay mo, kapatid? Diretsahan ito. Natanong mo na ba ang preacher mo, Brad, ano bang kailangan mo? Have you ever asked your preacher that? Have you ever asked him about his troubles? Brad, may mga problema ka ba? Hindi naman sabi ng preacher, ikaw yun. No. Have you ever asked them, what is troubling you? What is keeping you from your ministry? Have you ever prayed for him? O baka naman ang dalangin mo ay, sana kunin ka na ni Lord. But I can assure you this, just recently, ito siguro ginawa mo sa preacher mo. Criticize mo siya, pinagtawanan mo, gumawa ka ng kwentong hindi totoo tungkol sa kanya. That is very common. And that is disheartening. Akala nyo, hindi alam ng mga preachers. Kaya no wonder, andyan pa rin mga figures na to. 1,784 pastors quit per month. Pero sa bagong version, sa bagong ibinigay sa atin ng Barna Group of Companies and even from the Fuller Institute, from George Barna and Lifeway, Schaeffer Institute of Leadership, ito ngayon totoong figures nila. Latest is that ito lang 2020, over 1,500 pastors left the ministry every month. But add to that is over 1,300 pastors were terminated by the local church each month without cause. Gaano kalaki yun? That's 2,800. So ilang preachers pa kayo matitira? Kaya timely pa rin. I remember this, doing this in 2012. That since August is Preachers Month, let's talk about the preachers' lives, their works, the examples, troubles and struggles, and their influences in the lives of ordinary Christians. So that we can encourage others, other preachers, to get back to ministry, kung hindi man to work for the Lord in any ministry they can be part of. I am thinking about this. Next week's live stream, I won't be preaching. I have already scheduled a Zoom, and I'll be sharing you the link after this slide. Let us appreciate our preachers online. Appreciate your preacher life. And as early as this, gusto ko sana ihanda ninyo yung appreciation. Okay lang pangalanan ninyo kung gusto yung pangalanan. Name names if you want to. And you could read aloud in our Zoom. We'll be using this, and probably our faces will be there, and as small as 1 inch by 1 inch, 1 by 1. Okay? Doesn't matter. Provided that we can come together in a Zoom meeting, and I'm excited about this. Sana lahat-lahat tayo mga kapatid, sino mga available, join us this Sunday. Come, read aloud, or talk freely. But keep it short. Huwag kayong maging kagaya ko na mahaba mag-preach. Okay? And let us encourage one another. Okay? It's a date. It's a Preacher's Appreciation Live, August 30, 2020 at 10. And there it is. Take pictures now. Yan po ang Zoom link natin ngayong Sunday. I'm really hoping, and even with my family or church family who are abroad, please join us. Just click on that, and then I will ask everyone, and probably we will have a wonderful fellowship, and hopefully some other preachers. I know you have your own worship services, so sirain natin ng kaunti yung schedule ninyo. I'm so sorry for that. Pero kung gusto niyo i-appreciate ang bawat isa at marinig yung appreciation sa mga preachers, be here next Sunday. Papasalamat po ako muli sa pagsama ninyo sa akin at sa amin sa live stream na ito. Natutuwa po ako na mayroon tayong panahon na kagaya nito. At sana ay magkasama tayo ngayong linggong darating. At i-appreciate natin, iyamang ito ang huling linggo ng Agosto. We will appreciate all together, live, through live stream, all the preachers. And hopefully, you could share your notes, you could share your appreciations. If you want to name names, and then we'll be having that 1 hour field appreciation. I'll be seeing you then. Thank you so much, and may the Lord bless you and keep watch over you.